everybody knows, we're starting the recording right now. And so I introduce this, if you're watching this later or you're watching it on YouTube, this is for training for high performers who want to break through 100K, focusing on coaches and consultants. And so this whole trainer is going to be about what do you need to do to become a high performer, and what are some of the things that you're probably being told that are not the best first steps in order to do that. So let's talk about goal setting. So this is something I've trained this many times, and I want to give you the formula of creating your big goals as a high performer. So there are 3 steps, and I want you to think of it as a recipe, because you need to do these in this exact order. I'm going to explain to you why that's the right order. So it's what do you want? So that could be what could be who do I want to become? What do I want to achieve? How do I want to impact others? Why is that important? And then, and only then, do you look at how can I create that goal? How can I reach that goal? Now, what I find is most people, the moment they start that what part, the first part, is that they will literally start looking in the rearview mirror, because that's the only place we can look. It's our reference points. And they go, well, I've never achieved this big of a goal in this area. Therefore, I don't know how to do it. And they start chopping their goal down and go, well, and then this is the bad phrase. I want to give it to you right up front. That's not realistic. Now, what that really means when anybody says that is that doesn't fit into my reality the way it's organized today. But as high achievers, we're going to look at organizing your reality differently. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And so you want to get specific, always with an outcome that's measurable, and you know the exact date that you want that to be accomplished. So that's where you start. And I always encourage people to dream big, because when we get to the 3rd step, how you're going to achieve it, one of the things we'll be talking about is chunking the size of what you accomplish in the first step. But don't edit your dreams. Make your dreams as big as you want them, because your dreams are what are going to really infuse you from the inside out. So now the 2nd step is why. Now, most people, if they even answer why, they give a very limited answer. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. Why is this important to me? But that's only 1/3 of the why question. I want you to really have a robust why, because that's going to empower you. It's going to motivate you. But unlike external motivation, it's going to motivate you from the inside out. And that's when you become empowered. So I want you to ask 3 questions. Why is this important to me? Why will it be important for others? And then I want you to get specific. Is that your children? Is that your spouse? Is that your clients? Is that the people who work with you? I want you to have something that you can see right here in your head. You can get a picture. And then why is this going to be important for the world I live in? You might think of that as your community, society. It might be the industry that you're in. It might be a larger area. It might be the world itself. But why is your accomplishing this goal going to make a difference? And you might want to think about timeframes like, okay, it'll make a difference by the end of this year, 2018. But if you accomplish that, how's that going to impact 2019 for you, for others, for the world? Then, and only then, when you have clarity about that, I want you to go to the how. How are you going to achieve it? And I want you to always ask yourself, what are 3 different ways that I could accomplish this? And so that gives you 3 pathways. Now, here's the thing. If after you've created 3 different pathways, you step back and you go, I still don't think that will get me to this goal. Remember, you created a time frame. Then you're going to want to do one of 2 things. You're going to want to either keep the time frame and chunk the goal down to one initial part of it, never giving up the dream, because it may simply take 2 or 3 times the initial time frame you did. Or you're going to want to keep the chunk that you have, the goal the way it's written, and realize you might want to extend the time frame, but never under any circumstance give up your dream, because that's what's really empowering you. And so I want to turn it over to Marcus now to talk about what are the 3 major problems we've noticed that coaches and consultants that want to be high performers, that want to get through that 100K initially, and then they may want to go to that 250, to the 500, to the million. But what are the three problems or hurdles that they typically have that are occurring for them? Marcus?
Absolutely, JV. The consultants and the coaches that I've spoken to that have not yet gone over to the 6-digit mark, haven't made it to 100,000 yet. There's three things that I see in all of them. The first one is the fact that they're not making the kind of money that they want to make, but more importantly, they're not making it in the time frame that they're trying to get there. So if you make $250,000 in 10 years, that's not very impressive. But if you can make $250,000 in 1 year, that's much more impressive. So getting that money in your bank account is what they want to do in the most efficient manner possible in the shortest time frame. The second one that I find is that if you're a business or if you're a consultant, you're trying to create your own business, obviously. And the idea is you want to have that financial freedom. You want to have the time to be able to do those things. But lots of times they feel trapped or they feel like they're weighed down by their business. So this thing that they created initially to give them freedom is actually slowing down that capacity. So now instead of them running the business is running them, and they're constantly working on it, and they're not able to have the financial freedom or time that they wanted to initially with their intent, with their purpose. So one, they have the idea that they're not making the money that they want. Two, they feel like they're trapped and they're stuck in the situation. The third one is the idea that these two things lead to the last thing, which is it's this self-limiting belief. It's this ideal that they aren't worthy of what they're trying to make, of what they're trying to create. And the other side of that coin means that they won't ask for the value that they're actually worthy of. They're afraid to ask for that price. So if somebody asks them how much they're charging, and then they all of a sudden put that price out, but because they don't feel worthy of that, now all of a sudden they reduce that price, or they're willing to ask more, or willing to ask less of themselves instead of more, which is what we're trying to do. So they want to have more of that freedom with their time. They want to be able to have more freedom within their business. They want to put more money in their bank account, and they want to get over that self-limiting belief of thinking, I'm not worthy of this. And that's what sabotages them. And that's what a lot of those symptomatology become, JV.
Well, and a lot of times I find that, tagging on what Marcus said, a lot of times one of the reasons that their way they value their coaching or consulting, how they price it, it feels like a kind of a pot shot, is they're either going out and they're going, well, other people are pricing theirs like this, so I shouldn't charge anymore because then people will go to my competitors. But here's the real problem. They don't have an actual formula for ROI that they're providing, not for themselves, but for their client. So your fees should always be some set percentage point, and you've got to decide what the percentage point is, but a percentage point of the actual value that you're helping your client typically achieve, say in 3 months or 6 months or a year, however it is that you work. So there's a formula for that. So let's look at some of the symptoms, or we could call these the actual hurdles that coaches and consultants end up experiencing because they're having 1, 2, or 3 of these problems. So one of them, it's almost like they're employees because they're worried as if they were getting a paycheck, which we aren't, but they're worried month to month. Can I pay my bills? Can I pay my rent or mortgage? Can I pay for my car? Can I literally buy food sometimes? So there's this worry from month to month. And there's this feeling underneath all that I'm really not getting ahead. That what I'm doing this year painfully looks very similar to what I was doing last year. And then that leads us at times when you're experiencing this to actually experience that you need to go chase the clients. So if there's someone who shows up with a warm body that you think, well, maybe I could coach them somehow, they may not fit your ideal model. You may not even have the ideal model clear yet. But as long as you think you might get some money from them and they might become a client, you keep chasing them, you send them more and more emails, you keep calling them when they've clearly said no, but you're chasing them. And part of the problem, another symptom, is not learning how to properly retain clients, and not retain them because you're going to do more of the same, but retain them because now you're going to take them, you're a high performer, and you're going to take them to yet another level that you can fully describe to them. And so I know that everybody I've ever talked to who's a coach or consultant, they all have this one thing in common. we all want to impact our clients. We want to make a positive difference. We want to transform them. And when you don't have enough clients and you're not putting enough money in the bank and you don't feel like you're getting ahead, at the end of the day, you begin to feel like I'm really not having that big of impact. And that kind of brings down your morale and your thoughts about yourself. So these all are kind of self-feeding. And then what does that lead to? Feeling overwhelmed, like you're just stretched too thin, or maybe like you're being pulled, and quartered in 4 directions. Your arms are being pulled in one direction, your legs are being pulled in another, and you just feel like you're being ripped apart. So those are the things that typically happen, and those are the hurdles that coaches and consultants have to get through to become true high performers, break through that 100,000, and then keep on building to that quarter, to that half, even to that $1 million place. So now Marcus is going to do a very special training with you. I know you're going to write a lot of this down. This is really critical information, and it's called Parkinsons Law. So I'm going to turn it over to Marcus for you to take over.
Absolutely. So I don't know how many of you have heard of Parkinson's Law before, so just write it down. It's just the way it sounds, Parkinson's Law. And though you may not have heard of the name of the law, I'm sure that you've experienced it because we've all done it. If you've ever been in high school or college and you have a paper due, so let's say that you get the assignment on Monday and then the paper is due by Friday, a lot of times people will wait until Thursday night of the 11th hour to bang that thing out and turn it in because they know it's due by Friday. So Parkinson's Law dictates that the more time that you allot for a goal, the more you will hesitate, the more you will procrastinate, the more you will wait to get that done. So if it took you 5 hours to get that actual assignment done, you might have done those 5 hours all at once on Thursday evening, as opposed to maybe taking action on it immediately on that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you shouldn't feel bad about it because it's human nature. It's the way that we're designed. Our human nature tells us that we want to procrastinate and put off the things that we don't want to do necessarily, even though those are the things that we usually are most needing to get done. And that's the nature of the beast. So Parkinson's Law sort of puts a point on that and helps us be aware of it. And it's common throughout the world, no matter what the culture is. And that really kind of helps accentuate the point of taking action now instead of waiting. Your tomorrow is actually built on today. It's built on what the decisions that you make right now are, as opposed to waiting and procrastinating and pushing things over. So the people who are the most successful in business, in any of these things, is because they make a decision to act now, and that decision is going to compound and expand exponentially thereafter. So if you're in business and you are constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to give more value, constantly trying to make yourself better, that's what you will exponentially do, and therefore your business will grow in that level. But if you're in a situation where you constantly let yourself be paralyzed, where you constantly are stuck in that situation and you are not moving forward, that is what will compound and exponentially grow in your business. And that's not something that you want. That's something that you want to cut out of your business. That's an inefficiency, and we don't want any inefficiency in your business model. So right now is what shapes your destiny. Right now, the decisions you're making are what are going to push you forward or pull you back. In business, very few times are we going laterally. We're either moving forward or we're moving back, and we want everybody to move forward as best as they can. So the decisions you make in your day, in your diet, and your mindset, that dictates your week, that dictates your month, that dictates your quarter, and that dictates your earnings at the end of the year and how much money you're able to put in the bank account. So the Parkinson's Law is something that once we're aware of it, we see it everywhere. We see it with everything, whether it be working out, whether it be our diet, whether it be having a conversation that may be difficult. That is the idea. You have to identify it first, and now that you have identified it, you can go beyond it. The other thing that this kind of ties in with a lot of other things when it comes to business, for example, it's an antiquated notion that the more leads that you have, the more successful that you're going to be. But that's not always the case. As a matter of fact, you can have all the leads in the world, but they will slip through your hands if you do not have a business model that's designed specifically to be able to take those leads and convert them into an efficient manner that will continue to create not only more business for you, but more value for your customer and for your client. So people talk about making impact, but they don't have a name for what impact is other than the word impact. You know what the impact is when you see that impact on your client, when you see the impact on your bank account, and you see the impact that you're making. JV always says that you don't want to make ripples, You want to make waves. And that's one of the best way to make waves. So think of it just like this. Think about the amount of money that you're making right now today. Think about what you're on pace to make for this year. Imagine if you can double that. If you're able to double that amount of money, what would you buy? What would you pay off? What would you change? If you've been working in your business for a long time and you haven't had time for a vacation, it may be time for a vacation. It may be time to put money away for retirement, money away for college, anything like that. If you had that money, if you had twice the amount you have now, how would you change that? And then imagine if you could exponentially throughout the years get more of that, 2 times the amount, 3 times the amount over time, and scale that up. That's what we want to offer you, and that's what we want to give to you in this training and what we're offering with our boot camp. Sound good, JP?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, first of all, I want to tell you that if you're on this call today and you really want to become a high performer, you're in the position, you're a coach or consultant, you've gotten started, but you really want to break through that 100,000. And you may want to go farther this year. You may want to move towards that $250,000. Great. So I want to offer you an opportunity so that you can have a call where we can actually discuss with you what it is that you want to achieve and what are the best pathway for you to get there. What are the steps that are going to help you truly become a high achiever and break through that 100,000? If you'd like to sign up for one of those calls, right now here is the link. It's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. And Marcus, maybe you can put that in the Zoom, and I'll put it in a little bit later when I'm not talking. I want to try to type and talk at the same time, but I'll put it in the Facebook. But here it is. You can write it down. It's a very simple link, consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. And you can sign up right now for a call with me. And we'll be going over what it means for you to be a high performer, what it is you want to achieve, and what are the best steps for you to be taking. So these are the things that I want you to write down from this next part of the training, because what I want to go over is why are so many people who are coaches and consultants, by statistics, 90% of coaches and consultants never break through 100,000. And yet coaches and consultants are reading articles, they're going to trainings, and they're being told a lot of things that this is your answer. Now, I don't think any of these are the exact answer that anybody needs initially, and it's why they don't work, because they haven't laid the foundation. I'm going to talk about a foundation a little bit later, and what is that foundation that you need, which is it's really having the right business model. So we'll dig down into that, to the different factors involved in it. But I want you to think about it like you're building a house, because all of us are familiar with homes, and all of us know that there's some order in which you build the home. And it seems to me that it's like people say they want the family room. They want the place to hang out. They want the place to watch TV. Maybe there's a fireplace in it, depending on where you live. And so they rush in and they go, that's what I really want. Now, that might be the same as saying, I just want to have a ton of leads and my business is all full, so I'm just going to focus on the leads part. But there are other things that you could be focused on as well. But here's the analogy. You've got the 16-inch studs up, but there's no drywall. There's no ceiling in, and you don't even have a foundation poured. But you go in there and you go, I really want it to look like this. So like you put up wallpaper, right? And that's like a shiny object that you have as a coach or consultant. It's what you run off to. You go, well, this is my magic answer. And so you put up the wallpaper, and then day after day, you go in there and you kind of bump into the wall accidentally. And then you start noticing there are all these holes in the wallpaper. And you notice that you're kind of walking on a dirt floor. It's not like hardwood. It's not carpet. And when it rains, yeah, you got it. The rain's coming in because you didn't put the roof on yet. But you decided you'd put the wallpaper up and you would try to enjoy your family room, but really the house wasn't even being built. That's what I find so many coaches and consultants are doing, and it's why they aren't getting to that 100,000. It's why they aren't becoming true high performers. So I want to go over a list of some of the things that I think are the real shiny objects. And I'm going to start with the one that almost everybody tells you is the answer, and I don't think it's the answer until you take care of the foundation. We're going to talk about the foundation in a moment. So I just need a bucket of leads. And if I just had a bucket of leads, I would have plenty of business. I'd put plenty of money in the bank, and I wouldn't just be making 100. I'd probably make $250,000 or $500,000 this year. But I'm telling you, that's not the answer, because if you don't have your model put together, which is really your foundation, you're not 100% clear about every piece of it, including that offer, which I call a high value, high profit offer that your market is really going to want to purchase. They're going to say yes to. Then having all the leads in the world isn't actually going to matter. And then there's another one of these, and it's called, the reason your business isn't growing yet, despite the fact you have no foundation clearly put together, is you just need an info product. Now, what's even worse about starting the info product before you have the foundation in is you don't really understand what your market wants. You're not clear about that. So you create the info product, and then you probably put it together incorrectly because you go, I just want to sell it online and I've got recurring income, but you don't have live portions to the training. You don't have questions and answers. You don't know exactly what to put in it, because that's not the answer when you don't have your foundation. Or you could go, I know everybody who's a high performer, who's an expert, who's an authority, they all have a book. I'll write a book and that'll answer all the problems. Well, first of all, you need to know that 90% of the people who even buy that book are going to read past, depending on the study, I've read different studies, page 18, some studies I've read are page 30, but they're not going to read the book. And if they aren't going to read the book, that's not going to actually bring you any clients. Now, here's a fun one. And maybe you've done this, maybe you know somebody who's done this, and it's called, I'll get together with a group of my peers who have not accomplished any more than I have, mind you, so they don't actually know the road ahead, and they're going to read their articles, and I'm going to read mine, and we're all going to talk together about how we're going to break through 100,000. But the problem is nobody's ever done it. So what's the likelihood that taking advice from people who've never accomplished what you want to accomplish is a really good way to accomplish that? And then there's the mastermind. That's the new popular thing, is I'll go get in a mastermind. And I've been in great masterminds, but let me tell you, most of them are poorly designed. They have no strategic outcome. They're really about getting together maybe once a month, and then you all talk and you get some great ideas. There's no accountability. There's no coaching. And next month, almost nobody's done any of the great ideas. And now you have another great set of ideas. And then finally, the answer must be to go to conferences, because after all, everybody's going to conferences. That must be the answer for how I build my business. But once again, if you don't have the foundation in, most of this isn't going to have really big impact on the amount of money you're putting in the bank and what you're achieving, or the impact you're making with your own clients. Because at the conference, you might get incredible information, and then you're going to write it all down, which is great. And you're going to get pumped up and motivated, which is wonderful. And then 3 days after you get home, the pumped up motivation's all gone. You're overwhelmed once again because you're back in the same environment. You don't even have time to implement all these things. And worse, you've got so many ideas that you're just overwhelmed by them. And so that really isn't the path for how are you going to build the foundation that's going to get you to that 100,000 and help you become a true high performer. So these are some of the things that we found really aren't that effective. So Marcus, why don't you go over some of the things that we found effective, and we've put them all together into what we call the High Performer Bootcamp. It's specifically only for coaches and consultants. There's no magic button we're going to give you today and tell you you should go buy this, because that isn't how it works. It starts with a conversation, because we want to know, is this bootcamp that's going to really all be about training you to become a high performer, is it going to help you get your wants, your needs, and your desires? And are you a good fit? Because it's a small group and we want everybody to be there supporting one another. But let's go over what are the 3 essential things that every coach and consultant needs to have if they're going to become true high performers and they're going to really break through what may feel like a glass ceiling, that $100,000 mark. And those are the three things we're emphasizing in this boot camp, because we know what works from working with our clients and from our own journeys that we've taken. So Marcus, I'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely. And the first thing of all those three is the mindset. That's what's required. Once you have the right mindset, that's what's going to allow you to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs. And that's going to allow you to have the focus to get the direction where you want to go, as opposed to having this sort of ambiguous idea. There's something else I'd like to add before I do the other two, which is Hicks' Law, and I'd like for you to write this down to give you more value. Hicks' Law dictates that the more opportunities or the more answers that we have, or the more possibilities, the longer it takes for us to act on anything. So if we're reading a bunch of stuff and we have a bunch of information coming in, it takes us a while to process that, to see what needs to be done. So if you have all this information but you're not acting on it, or if you have information that may not be serving you, it actually reduces your chances of being successful in that opportunity. And that's why JV and I are working so hard to give you things that we know are going to work, that we know are going to set you up to succeed. The other thing is to create, go ahead.
Yeah, I also want to add there, because I think that's such an important point. Absolutely. Is that everything that we do is based on lean design. Let me tell you what lean design is. In simple terms, it's only doing what's absolutely minimally necessary in order to achieve the results you want. It's not doing anything extra. It's not going down the side tributaries. So everything we're putting in this boot camp is designed to get you to become a high performer and build what you need to build and start executing on it to get to your 100,000, so that you're only doing those activities. And for example, in the mindset area of becoming a high performer, part of your mindset is how you think about who you want to become, what you want to achieve, and the impact you want to take. And it's also learning to think about time, your time, in terms of priorities and what's the best use of your time. So we're going to teach you an entire model that's going to impact your day in a positive way. I've taught this model to clients that have told me, who were already productive, who were already high performers, and said, I've gotten 4 times more done in my first week as I typically do. So we're going to teach you that model, and we're going to give you an empowerment process that's going to be all recorded. I'm going to record it for you. I've got 9 years of NLP training. And every morning for 15 minutes, you're going to have this audio, and it's designed only for this high performer bootcamp. You can't buy it. You can't get it anywhere else. And it's going to take you through a process to change your mindset and how you see yourself, as well as the type of actions you're taking all day long, so that you're in a high performer mindset for the day. And anytime during the day you want to listen to it again, or if you want to listen to it at night, you can do that. But it's designed to reprogram you and to get you into a high performer state. And that's going to inform how you approach your entire day, how you approach every client, how you approach every prospect. So that's the first piece that all high performers have that other people don't have. And Marcus, I'll turn it back to you for the second piece.
Absolutely. And just like he was saying, Bruce Lee had a quote. He says, knowing is not enough, we must act. Willing is not enough, we must do. And that's exactly what we're trying to make sure that you're doing, where we're giving you those that ability and that skill set to be able to act on that. And that goes perfectly with what JV does. He has 4 podcasts. I think everybody knows how amazing his podcasts are, how big his podcasts are. So he has to be incredibly efficient and incredibly, to be able to execute everything, it has to be in line, and he has to have that. So he is truly leading by example. He's not a person who's talking about something that he thinks works. Again, he's got a lot of feedback. He's helped so many people with this. This also comes back to that business model of making sure that the business model is effective, it's high performing, it's lean, and it's efficient to give you the highest amount of output with the smallest amount of input on your part. If we're constantly chasing our tail, or if we're not sure what we're doing is going to work, or if it worked for a couple of weeks and now for some reason it went down in our mind, this helps take all that guesswork out of there. And now you don't have to apply that mental energy towards that whatsoever. You can apply all of your energy towards serving, towards making a bigger impact on your client, building your practice in a quality manner, and creating all the things you're trying to get, which is more money in your bank account, more impact, and help more people in the process. That's exactly why he's the conscious millionaire. The other part is, a lot of people don't understand. They may have a lead and they may be the best coach or the best consultant in the world, but if they don't know how to close, it's impossible to get that person to where you can actually help them, to where you can actually create that kind of impact that you're trying to create. So some people have the stigma attached to it. They are either afraid to do the ask, they're afraid to know how to close, and we will dissect that so that it's simple for you, so you can follow these steps, you can make the close, and now you're that much closer to making the kind of impact and putting the kind of money in your bank account that you want to do, and create that 2 to 3 times your income over the 12-month period. That's why it's a boot camp, is the idea of giving you these steps, and there is a lot of work that'll be involved, but we've done a lot of the hard work for you. Now all you have to do is just follow the step-by-step process to be able to do it, and it's reproducible on your part. With the boot camp we've gone through, go ahead, JB.
Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to add in some, I just want to do, it's like a spontaneous thing that's just hitting me, really. I want to do a kind of a training on the business model, because this is such an important piece, and it's really that foundation. It's when you're building the house, you don't want to just have a family room that's got 16-inch studs and wallpaper that you're going to punch through. You want to have the floor, and it might be hardwood, it might be carpet, you want to have a roof. So I want to go over the essential elements, because we're going to be training you on these personally. You're going to have hot seats during the time that you're in the boot camp, and there are a lot of more elements that we're going to go over. You're going to have a boot camp partner who's also going to be your accountability partner that you're going to practice different things with as well. But here are the important elements of a business model, and most coaches and consultants who are not already through 100,000, that aren't actually high performers at the moment. They want to be, but they're not acting that way. They're missing one or more of these, and they usually have these areas. When I give them to you, I want you to ask yourself, do I have kind of a fuzzy definition, or do I have a definition of each of these elements that's so precise that it's the nail? It's not like you're dancing around the nail. It's like you took out the hammer, you know exactly where the nail is, you know where the nail head is, and you go bang, and you hit it on the nail. So the first one is, you've got to have a very narrow, specific market. And then there are elements to that market. First of all, it all starts inside of you, a difference you're wanting to make. And that's not where most people start. And I want you to think of that difference as a solution to a problem. And so, first of all, that market needs to have their number one problem. Their number one problem needs to be something that is in your wheelhouse, that your wheelhouse can absolutely, and your wheelhouse is what are the things you do best. So we're going to help you with that. Now, second of all, they have to be right now eager to have that problem solved. Because if this is just a problem, even though it's a big one, and all they really want to do is chat and complain about it, they are never going to buy your coaching. Or if they do, they're not staying very long. And third, they either have to have the money or access to the money to pay you based upon the value to deliver. And if they don't, that's a good way to know that's not actually your niche market. Those aren't the right people for you. So you've got to have those things defined. Now you've got to be clear about the number one result you're going to offer them in order to solve that problem. And this is what you want to become known for. So in our case, our number one result is we're going to help you become a high performer who's got the right business model, the right mindset, and knows how to close, because those are the three things that are going to make you a true high performer that goes through $100,000. Those are the things that you're missing right now. Then you've got to have an offer that they want and that they're going to say yes to. And we're going to help you craft that offer. So those are the elements that are really critical, and most coaches and consultants that are not right now all the way through 100,000 on their way to at least $250,000 as their next stopping off place, their next milestone, usually are missing one or more of those, or they have them, but they're fuzzy and they're not clear. It's not uncommon when I look at people who are under 100,000 for them to be going over multiple markets who have multiple problems. And it's not all honed in. It's not dialed in. And then you've got to not just have the mindset, you've got to have the right business model, and then you've got to know how to close. But here's something that I found a lot of people don't know. There are clients that are, let's say the clients that are going to be the clients are going to buy at the typical rates that you're going to do. But let's say that you also want to have some high paying clients. So these are going to be the clients that are going to be the top of the level. We're going to give you scripts and training so that you know how to close both of those kind of clients. Because the high paying clients, the ones like my higher end clients, are 30 to 100,000 for a year. The way you close that client is not the same way you close a client that's going to pay you 5 or 10,000. It's completely different. And you've got to take a different approach with them. So we want you to understand both of those approaches so that you've got a model, you've got a script, you've got a set of steps to go through so that you know how to close both sets of groups of people, so that you realize that if I'm on the phone with my high-end client, I'm going to want to take this whole call and go in a different direction than if I were on the phone or a Zoom or a Skype with my regular client. So, now you might be asking, well, maybe I know a little bit about JV, maybe I know a little bit about Marcus, but why would I listen to these guys as opposed to somebody else? So I want to tell you a little bit about Marcus. So Marcus to me is kind of a miracle guy. He's what I call the guy who went from paralyzed to black belt martial artist. And so at age 40, he was in a combat readiness activity. It was in the States, and he almost died. Marcus, you know what? You can tell it better than me. Why don't you tell people what happened? Because I think that this gave you a perspective, a mindset that you're able to work with clients. You're a mindset coach and help them get through their hurdles and change the way they see themselves and their opportunities and their business because you've gone through something like this.
Absolutely, JV. What happened to me is in 2012, while preparing to deploy with the U.S. Army, I suffered a severe spinal injury that left me paralyzed from the neck down. While they were able to save my life on the operating table, I flatlined twice. While they were able to save my life, I was told that I would never walk again. So I went from being this very high echelon soldier doing like superhuman things to being to the point where I'm bedridden and I can't even take care of myself. When something like that happens to you, it really makes you look at your life and it makes you realize frankly, a lot of the stuff that you regret doing or not getting done. And that's what happened to me. So I was in a bed for 3 months and all I could do was think about what I wish I had done or wish I would have accomplished in that amount of time. What I found a lot of clarity because I couldn't do anything other than think about my life. And in that clarity, that's what helped me see exactly what I wanted to do. And just like JV was saying before, a goal is as attainable as it is specific. So if you have this vague notion of just being happy or being successful, that's difficult. But I knew at that point that if I ever had an opportunity to walk again or to have any kind of capacity back again, I wanted to try to help as many people as I possibly could, help them overcome the things that are holding them back mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. And that's why when I actually got the second chance and I was able to start moving my hands again and do the long process of being able to fight through to be able to learn to walk, to use my hands and be independent again, I started attacking my life and my purpose with redoubled effort because I had a second opportunity. If you're listening to us right now, this is your second opportunity to be able to make that focus, to decide on what you want, to redouble your effort and to push forward with that, because without having that goal, without knowing exactly what you want to do, a lot of your effort will be wasted. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and everything that JV is talking about resonates with me really, really powerfully. It's a phenomenal opportunity to be able to get to that next level financially, successfully, and emotionally with your clients as well.
So, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Marcus. So he's a best-selling author. He wrote the book, The Gift of Adversity, which is an amazing book about how to turn any adversity in your life into a gift and then become truly a high performer and really succeed at a new level. He's also a TEDx speaker, and he also trains other TEDx speakers. And he's, a guy who knows how to pinpoint, and this is, he gets in your face, and I like that because I like to get in clients' faces too. And right now I want to get in your face and say that if you're settling rather than becoming that high performer, if maybe you've made 50,000 last year, you made 50,000, and that's what you're on track for this year, and you're going, wait a minute, it feels like I'm settling. I should be making 2 times this, 3 times this, 10 times this, and I believe you can. It's all about stepping up and deciding right now you want to be a high performer and you're not willing to accept anything in your life that you don't want. Almost 2 months ago, I had a heart attack, and then I was in ICU for almost a week. And then when I came home at the end of the next week, I wrote down, I was laying in bed because I had to sleep a whole lot. I was just exhausted. And I wrote down what I thought was the most important sentence I'd written in at least 10 years. And it's exactly what Marcus is talking about. And it's, I'm no longer willing to accept anything in myself or my life that I don't want. And the moment I made that decision, I'm somebody who's been a high performer for a long time, but that sentence alone took me to a completely different level. I decided there were some relationships that I didn't really want to spend time and energy in, that there were things I wanted to do with my life that I hadn't done. There were ways I wanted to create impact. And you know what happened? I am now on a regular, I was on a call yesterday again, that I'm having people contact me. I'm not contacting them. This is what's interesting. They're contacting me and they're pitching business deals that they want to do with me. When you change your mindset about who you are, that you're not going to settle anymore, and what do you want to achieve, that same type of thing starts happening. And why is it? Because that's what the law of attraction actually is about. You, from a quantum physics standpoint, resonate with that which is similar to you. So a lot of people go, well, I'm just going to meditate and I'm going to think that the law of attraction is going to bring me what I want. The truth is the law of attraction is bringing you who you are, not what you want. And if you want the law of attraction to attract to you and you be attracted to something at a different level, you have to step it up. You have to become someone that you aren't today. That's the truth of how that works. So Marcus, I'll turn it back over to you.
Absolutely, JV. I wrote it in my book and I say it to my clients a lot, but the reality is misery loves company, but not as much as mediocrity. And just like JV is saying, if you decide to settle, if you decide to compromise, you're going to be in that mediocre state for a long time. So some of the coaches I've spoken to, they were making the same amount of money last year as they are this year. And that was the same amount of money that they made the year before because they're settling, because they're not asking more of themselves, because they're not pushing themselves, and because they're not going to that next level. We don't want anybody here on this call to be mediocre. And just to say thank you again, JV. JV is phenomenal. And those words that he said about me are, amazing. They mean the world to me. JV made his first million at 25 years old. He was at Cambridge University and was 16. I was learning to drive when I was 16. He was at Cambridge University and inducted into Mensa. So that's amazing. As you know, he has 4 different podcasts. The podcast Conscious Millionaire was considered one of the top 13 podcasts by Inc. magazine last year. So that's a phenomenal opportunity to learn from him in the podcast. He also co-created a podcast, multi-million podcast system, which is another opportunity to learn a tremendous amount from him. His book, The Conscious Millionaire, best-selling. Being a best-selling author is fun, but he's a best-selling author across 34 different categories. So that's a huge accomplishment. He has advanced degrees in business, advanced degrees in psychology, advanced degrees in law, business, and psychology. I'm sorry, he's so educated, it's hard for me to keep up. And the thing is, just like he said, he's constantly trying to learn. He's constantly trying to empty his cup. He's got all these in NLP. He has all this training, 9 years in that. He has training with hypnosis. He understands all of these things, and now he brings them all together and dovetails them. So he gives us this huge overview of all these truths that come together to make you a better performer, to make you a high performer, and to give you the opportunity to get where you want to go and do it in less time, more efficiently, as opposed to wallowing in that mediocrity that we were talking about before. And all the stuff that JV is saying, like I said, it's from experience. He's been doing this for so long. He's literally forgotten more about these things than I've ever learned. And that's why I'm so excited to be involved with him.
Well, and we're going to tell you just to wrap up about the High Performer Bootcamp. So first of all, it's designed just for 12 people, where we have people signing up for it, because we want 12 people who are going to be a team and go through this together. And what we found is that 6 weeks is really the perfect time to go through a boot camp, because you want to keep high energy. You want to be thinking differently, acting differently, framing your day differently, looking at different priorities. And we're going to be constantly teaching you how to become more productive. We're going to be working on your mindset and how you see yourself and what's possible for you all the way through this. We're going to be working with you on your business model. You're going to be working on how to close, because that's so critical. If you master the fine art of closing, the world is your oyster. And as a coach or consultant, closing means you get to work with more people. You get to make a bigger impact with your life, and you get to put more money in the bank. And so you're just going to be structured so that you're going to have an accountability buddy. That's going to be the buddy that you're going to do all your practice work with. We're going to meet every week, and every session is going to be recorded. So you're going to get an audio version of it. You're going to get a video version. And the first part of every session is going to be a training, and you're going to get the slide deck from that. And you'll get that within 24 hours of the session. So even if you missed a session, you can still stay on board, and you've got your accountability buddy for that. And so what are we going to do in the boot camp? Well, the sessions are divided into 3 parts. Every session is going to have a training. Then we're going to put people on hot seats, and Marcus and I are going to work with them on a specific area that they're working on, whatever's most important to them that week. And then we're going to have question and answers so that you make certain to get all your questions answered. And then there's going to be a Facebook group. So I'm creating the empowerment audio portions of it. And that part of the training, Marcus is going to handle the Facebook. So every day you'll have an opportunity to pop in there and you go, oh, this question came up. And then Marcus is going to work with you personally right there. And he'll respond back to your questions. He'll be popping into the Facebook once or twice a day. So you'll have an opportunity to have the Facebook. So if you are interested in learning more, the way we do that is through a discovery call. And it's called a discovery call because we want to discover 2 things. We want to discover, first and foremost, is this boot camp right for you? Is it going to help you get your wants, your needs, your desires met? Because we want to make certain it's a perfect fit for you. And we want to make certain that you're a perfect fit because you're going to be a good team member, that you're going to be supporting everybody else in the boot camp. And because that's the way we're all going to move forward together. We want positive people who've begun their coaching consulting. So if you've never had a client, this actually isn't for you. That's not who it's designed for. You've started your coaches and consulting, and right now you are eager to become a true high performer. Maybe it's that 100,000, but you might be at the 100,000. You might have just gotten there and you go, hey, JV, can I work with this and go to the $250,000? Absolutely. Because I look at 4 milestones to getting to your million. You've got the 100,000, the $250,000, the $500,000, and then the million. And that last $500,000, by the way, everything should be fine-tuned by then. Most of it should be fine-tuned by the time you get to a $250,000. And the real questions there are different. They're how do I best scale? And that's the kind of people that I typically work with in my private coaching, is helping them scale. So we're going to ask 3 things. First of all, if you sign up for a call, and you've got the link, it's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. Again, it's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. First, we're going to ask that you show up. And the reason we're saying that is that there are a limited number of spaces in my calendar for you to sign up for this. And we don't want somebody who actually wants to take their coaching and consulting practice forward to not have a space. And then once you sign up, we're going to immediately send you a pre-discovery questionnaire. It's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to fill out. And we're asking you to fill it out for 2 reasons. One, you're going to learn something about yourself by answering these questions. And then both Marcus and I will be reviewing that so that we have a better understanding who you are, what you're wanting, what you're needing, what you're desiring, and how you might fit in well with the team. And then I'm going to ask the third thing. This is really for action takers. We've designed it in a small group format because we want you to get the maximum value. You're going to be working with 2 coaches who have very successful clients. We want you to only apply if you're eager right now to move forward. If you're just saying, being honest with yourself, I hear everything that you all are saying. I hear you, JV. I hear you, Marcus. But the truth is, I'm not really ready to move forward. I'm going to settle for another year, and that's a choice. That's a choice you can make. I would rather you didn't make it for your own sake and the clients that you could be helping, but that's a choice you could make. And if that's honestly where you're at, then the boot camp's not for you. The boot camp is for people who really want to move forward. We're going to hit the nail on the 3 nails that make the difference, and we know they make the difference from our own private clients that we've worked with. And that is, we're going to help you build a high performer mindset and become a high performer in how you approach your day and the things that you choose to do, so that you're choosing to do the things that are the high priorities for putting money in the bank and the high priorities in terms of how you utilize your time. So we're going to cut out the waste. We're going to cut out all the fat. Then we're going to work with you to craft the right business model for you, so that it's not just scalable so you get to 100,000, but this is a foundation for going to the quarter, the 500, the million. So it's really $1 million business model that we're going to help you build, because most people don't know how to build that. And so they're starting on the wrong business model, and they don't have a very good foundation. It's pretty shaky. We're going to help you craft your offer. And then we're going to work with you, giving scripts, having you practice with one another, because the real secret, once you have that foundation, once you have the right mindset, you've got to become a great closer. We want to make it fun. We want to make it exciting, not a drudgery like, oh my gosh, this is horrible that I'm asking for money. That's the mindset stuff we're going to be working with you. The empowerment program that you're going to do for 15 minutes every morning is going to be helping you reframe the value of closing people for you and for them, so that you see that actually this is an important part of your business that is actually exciting. But the thing is, it's hard to have confidence when you don't know how to do it. We want to teach you how to do it with scripts that actually work, and help you understand the difference between getting that typical client and then getting the high-end client, and how you have to approach the two completely differently. So again, if you want to set up a call with us, it's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. That's consciousmillionaire.com/discovery. I want to personally thank you, before I turn you over to Marcus for his final words. Thank you for showing up, because showing up is the first step in becoming a true high performer, in building that 100, 250, 500 million dollar business, and making that big of an impact on the world and on yourself and your family, and who you are and who you become in the process of taking that journey. So Marcus, I'll turn it over to you to have the final word here.
Absolutely. And just like JV is saying, if you're interested, that's fine, but we want you to be committed. We want you to be committed. And it's not just you're committing to yourself, you're committing to investing in yourself, and so that you can go to that next level. And the idea is, the small amount of investment you're putting in yourself right now is going to have huge dividends, not just in the next 12 months, but in the next 24 months, the next 36 months, 5 years from now. The stuff you're learning now will help you scale up, and it will take away a lot of the problems. They'll take away a lot of the inefficiency, like he was saying. You strip away all the inessentials, and you're just a lean, focused. You're getting maximum impact with minimal effort, and that's exactly what we want, because our time should be spent on these more important things and not wondering if we're doing the right thing or if we need to chase the next ClickFunnels ad that's out there. The idea is to do what you need to get done and to work on that, and to make it happen for you and your clients. And that's what we're so excited about, having you guys on the call. So I'm really excited about this, JB. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. We'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.